What's going on, guys? Shane here. Today we're talking about wrist pain and also tweaking your wrist when hitting the heavy bag. I want to help you diagnose the problem, but also give you wrist and forearm strengthening exercises so that you can avoid it. All right, so the very first thing starting is make sure you're wearing wraps and gloves. Always wrap your hands when you're hitting the heavy bag. If you're doing it for fitness, if you're doing it for competition, you want to make sure that your hands are wrapped. They're your money makers, so protect them. Additionally, when you put them on, make sure your wrist is straight when you put them on. A lot of people do it loose, so their hand is like this. That's just going to reinforce a bent wrist. So do it correctly. We have links in the description below to show you how to do it, how to wrap your hands the correct way. Also, make sure you're wearing gloves. If you don't have wraps and gloves, shell out the money and get them. If you only have a heavy bag now and you're hitting a bare fist, you may want to take some of the stuffing out from the inside. It'll lessen the firmness on the bag and be able to really lay into it a little bit more. Also, on top of that, my next tip is make sure that you're keeping correct form. A lot of people focus on power and they focus on speed, and technique goes out the window, and then that's when you tweak your wrist when you hit the heavy bag, okay? The knuckles, you want to hit with all four. I know a lot of people say you want to hit with the first two knuckles, your index and middle. Some other people have a habit of hitting with the ring and the pinky. I know I did. I felt like I could really dig into shots like that. One of the most common injuries in the hand is a boxer's fracture, and that's along the side from hitting with your pinky. So it keeps your wrist in line. But what I like to do is, like I said, all four knuckles. This way I'm not trying to pinpoint hit with any ones. Just make sure you're hitting flush, your wrist is straight, and you're hitting it directly. You want to have your elbow back behind it. You want to make sure that your wrist is in line, okay? If you feel like you're doing everything correctly, but still there's just something wrong when you're still tweaking your wrist, it may be wrist strength or forearm strength. So the very first one is just knuckle push-ups. At first you're going to do it with your thumbs touching the ground, and then eventually try to tuck your thumb and do it with just four knuckles pushing into the ground. If you want to get very advanced with it, you could even do handstand knuckle push-ups. Other things you can do too, chin-ups, you can do deadlifts, you can do farmer's walks, things where you're holding weight, squeezing your fists, and just ultimately trying to build up that forearm strength. All right, guys, hopefully this answers your question, diagnose the problem for the wrist pain that you're having when hitting the heavy bag. Until next time, be sure to subscribe to get the fight tips before your opponent does. I'm Shane with Fight Tips for the Underdogs.